Oh, but what I wanted to talk to you guys about was hydration. Hydrate yourself. I send Mr. a few texts a day. I'm pretty sure he probably just looks down at a couple of them and keeps it pushing. That's why I send him more than one, because I would do the same thing. But we make a deal with each other. You know, we make little healthy tidbit deals with each other. Like, for example, it used to be like, okay, if we fight about something that's ridiculous, then I have to have a shot of liquor. We started that a long time ago, but we don't do it as much as we did. And at night when we're laying in the bed, or anytime we're laying in the bed, and one of us thinks of it, more often me because of my history with pulmonary embolism. But I might sit there and, you know, if it feels like things are moving slow through my body, so I'll be like, take a few deep breaths. Or either one of us, whoever thinks of it, will be like, take a few deep breaths. So we'll sit and we'll take in as much air as possible, exhale. And depending on what part we feel like needs it more, you can take the breaths from your lungs or your stomach. So we do that, and we send hydrate texts. That means drink you just I don't care if you don't feel like it, and I don't care if you're full. Grab you your water right now, wherever it is right now, and chug it. A whole bottle if you can. Got another one right here. But hydrate. Now, I'm saying that because we all know 2016 has been a fuckboy in terms of, you know, losing loved ones and even people that you love from afar. But, you know, I'm not a physician. I'm not a scientist. And I'm not a nutritionist. But I know some shit. And I'm of the belief that we as humans, even knowing that we are 80% water, and that water is our best friend, we don't drink enough. We don't. And I think a combination of things stemming from technology, where everybody's sitting in front of a computer and not moving around as much. You know, we eat so much crap that has sugar and sodium in it. Sugar, which is as bad as alcohol, really. Both of which are as bad as prescription medication and other such poisons that can murder you. I say murder because we know that it kills you, but people keep doing it. So when you knowingly do it, that's murder, right? Yeah. So that, and just the fact that it's good for you, it's good for your skin, it's good for all of your vital organs, which make up a human being and allow us to be alive. So I think sometimes I think in a lot of cases, particularly when people that we deem younger than should be sickly, are dying of things like heart attacks and other such cardiac issues and respiratory issues and blood clots and just a number of things. So suffice it to say that water is right up there with cannabis in terms of health maintenance. So I am encouraging you today to hydrate. Set your cell phone alarm for every 4 hours. And when it goes off, if you haven't had 16 ounces of water. If you haven't had 16 ounces of water, grab you a bottle and chug it up. Grab you a cup of water and chug it down. You know how I always say, you know, Big Brother, he's not gonna, I'm a free thinker and I can't be really brainwashed the way the average human can. But you always hear me say that's how Big Brother's gonna get me, through the food. He gonna get me through the food. Them damn sugar addictions. I'm a sugar junkie. But water is so vital, and I'm telling you what you already know. But what you might not be thinking about is the fact that you can drop of a heart attack based on your lack of consumption of water. Your body can come up on a heart attack as a result of biological drought. In fact, I believe a good third of the heart attacks that are happening are sourced from via biological drought. So let's stop helping the system murder us. Let's stop helping the system murder us that way. Because we're still gonna, ooh, this African man just got in this SUV next to me and he is not ugly. He's not gorgeous, but he is not ugly. And he seems to be carrying himself in these few seconds that I just saw him. He strikes me as a man. I don't see that often. Because all these things walking around here with penises are not men, just like all of the females walking. Ooh, just like all the females walking around with vaginas are not women, ladies. So he's just looking at me. He's looking at me. So I'm making sure I'm looking at you, so that he knows I'm not talking to myself. Not that I care what he thinks. There he is, right there. I mean, and we even have sayings like, "Oh, it must be something in the water." you know, when everybody starts looking or behaving the same, a similar unreasonable way. Saying goes that must be in the water. Sometimes, a lot of times, cliche shit or sayings that are old school saying or classic cliche shit comes from real places. And so when they say there must be something in the water, let me just drop Flint's name out to you. Okay, let me just drop Flint out there. Okay, let me just drop Corpus Christi out there. Okay, and these are not the first two places where genocide is being committed based on the greed of superpowers, the free world, systemic micromanagement of human everything. So even as you hydrate, be careful how you hydrate. And everything is not what you think it is, because even as you hydrate and you feel like you are doing better than others because you're drinking bottled water. I'm not saying you can't trust bottled water. I'm just saying that, fuck it, I'm saying you can't trust anything or anybody. So do the best you can. Bottled water is the best option. But like I said, I don't know everything. But like I said, I'm not a scientist or a physician or a nutritionist, but I know stuff. You know, old people say keep on living. Keep on living. You know, sometimes I have my indoor garden starts before the season gets warm enough for me to transport it outdoors. On one of the winters that I was dealing with problems. One year I had spider mites, one year I had white flies. Fortunately, I know how to deal with both at this point. Gnats. First year I had gnats. First 2 years I had gnats. Figured out how to handle that easily. In fact, spider mites and white flies are the devil though, but fortunately I learned to deal with them. So even if that were to happen again, I know exactly what to do at this point. Again, experience will teach you what man will not, and in a lot of cases is not equipped to, cannot. So what I'm saying to you is, in that experience, I noticed that some of my starts weren't taking off. They weren't healthy and they were dying. Where normally, especially when you plant something from seed as opposed to taking a cutting, once that seed breaks, it's on and popping. Once that seed breaks in that soil, it starts looking for light and nutrients in the soil, and you could get 2 inches of growth a day on a plant. Okay, anybody who's ever planted a seed knows this. But this particular year, I was having so much trouble, and I knew it wasn't the gnats or spider mites or white flies because I then had experience with those things. So what I had been doing, because I thought I was doing the best thing for my vegetables, right? What I had been doing is using the water from the dehumidifier. You know, the water that it collects the water from the air. And so I thought, oh, awesome. Well, this won't be tap water that has been contaminated with all of the poisons that man has put into the tap water. That the filtering of said water cannot remove. So I was like, oh, well, awesome. Then I can get this water that has been collected from the air, and it will be healthier for my plants. Well, I went that whole season of early starting wondering why my vegetables were such a fail. And I wound up just planting everything outdoors when it got warm enough, because nothing was coming through inside. After reading a lot more and researching and using a process of elimination to see what it is that I'm doing differently. And the only thing I could figure I was doing differently was using dehumidified water from the air. So I went back to using tap water to water my plants, and problem solved. Can you imagine having that level of disaster when you've been a successful gardener for years, and then having that level of disaster on your starts, not being able to figure out what went wrong this time, and you've had insect issues? You know what that looks like. It's not insects. And you try to figure what kind of nutrient deficiency could be happening. That's not it. What changed? The water. So I used the tap water again, and everything was fine. And everything was so fine, in fact, that whereas before when I used tap water, I let it sit for 8 hours or overnight, because they say that the chlorine that's still in the tap water will kill your plants. So I always did that. But after having that experience, I was like, screw that, because I don't want any of the good nutrients that I might apparently need to evaporate out of it. So I don't even let the water sit for 8 hours anymore necessarily. If I'll try to, if I remember, but if I don't stress about it, because to me, apparently that water is nutrient rich in ways that my plants are gonna need. So we even always gave Junior actually bottled water in his bowl, and so now I still give him bottled water in his bowl. But before I pour the bottled water in there, I fill the bowl up a third of the way with tap water, because I don't want him to be deprived of those nutrients either, because for all I know, maybe that's why he got sick, even though he's old and it's late in life for him, and it's time for stuff to start going on. But maybe he was missing some of the nutrients that are found in water. So now when I give him his water, I blend a third tap water with his bottled water now. And in fact, when I get my bottles, I'll take a few guzzles and drink it down some, and then fill that the rest of the way up with tap water, because I don't want to be missing those nutrients either. Who knows? Maybe my jacked up grill came from drinking bottled water the whole time, and my teeth weren't getting the nutrients they need to stay strong. It just makes you think about so many other things, like what other things were suffering in my body for consuming only bottled water. And if my theories are accurate, when I get through making all the sense in the world, I wonder if my theories are accurate, who are the handful of people in the boardroom making these decisions about what to make the public consume? And what's the real goal? I mean, is it going to deteriorate overall intelligence so that we'll be even easier to brainwash? And I think about that with legalization as well. Even though I'm for it, I often think I have both thoughts. I'll tell you how. Even though I'm for it, I wonder if they didn't low-key want to go ahead and do it because, albeit gradually. Well, I know they don't want to because people will be healthier. But I was thinking maybe they want to because then people will be more chill about following instruction in terms of brainwash. And then my thoughts go, well, that's just going to backfire on their ass, because people are just going to fuck around and get enlightened is what's going to happen. And then what will they do? The problem is that the answer to that is about what will they do. The answer to that is what they will do then is force regulation on the people who are growing. And so all these people that have their shit tested, like, I know it's easy for people to believe that, it's to make sure it's organic and that there are no chemicals and pesticides and that, and this, that, and the third. But is it? Because I've known people to get tours of, not dispensaries, but tours of grow labs. Yeah, grow labs, I guess you call them. I've seen people get tours of grow labs. One in particular, top secret grow lab. And they have to put on different clothes. They have to put on a whole jumpsuit, before they even go in a particular area. And they have to step in a pile of bleach before going back there. No cameras, which I get. There could be a few reasons for that. But what's so top secret about this grow lab in this state that is being real extreme about regulatory? So ultimately, I'm saying the answer to that, when you say, well, how will they control that? Well, they'll make sure whatever poisons they're putting in your food can be put in your cannabis. First, make it legal, let you enjoy it a little bit. I'm doing too much. The moral of the story is hydrate. I need to get some groceries. Okay. And I love y'all. Albeit tough love. Oh my goodness, oh my god. My grocery store trip was more expensive than it has been in I don't know how long. I just let someone in front of me. Oh, and I'm going to show you guys this privileged lady. She was an old lady too. And all the lines were full. And that is why I try to record without the charger in the plug. There was this older privileged woman, and it's after Christmas and before New Year's, so grocery stores are a hot ass mess for someone with the type of introvert that I am. But errands have to be run. So It was packed, is my point, and in front of me, there was a young black boy, he was probably 17, I would say. So this woman in the line next to me, he was on Instagram or Facebook or whatever we do, standing in the line in front of me, and the lady in front of him had about as much as I had. So this woman that I'm going to show you, that was in the next line next to us, nodded at this boy like, you can come get in front of me, you know, since he only had a few things. And girl, I was moved. It moves me whenever I see the unicorn privileged people that do some things that are not racist. It's beautiful to me. But when you can spot it, yeah. And after she let him in front of her, I looked at her and I just smiled. Because right behind her was was Time Magazine's cover of Trump. Not the one where they said he's gonna be the president of the divided states, but this new one. I don't know what it says. Because to tell you the truth, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, Trump must have went crying with his thumb up his butt about the last Time Magazine cover, so they gave him this new one. I couldn't, you know, my eyes ain't shit, so I couldn't see the subtitle. There's just so much trash everywhere, but I forget it's the garbage day after Xmas.